Hello guys, hope you're all doing good. Welcome back to my channel, and today we'll be continuing our front-end development series and learn more about the basics of HTML. So in previous video of this series, we learned what is web development, what is HTML. We also learned basics of HTML and wrote few HTML snippets to learn those concepts. Today we'll quickly brush up those topics and we'll complete the HTML basics for beginners by the end of this video. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So guys, in the previous video, we saw how we can create a simple HTML page by using basic HTML tag. We also print hello world on the body of the web page. Then after that, we went on to learn about the heading and paragraph tags in HTML. And we know that there are six heading elements or heading tags available in HTML ranging from H1 to H6. Then after that, we learned about semantic elements of HTML5, that is header, nav, main, section, article, footer, etc., etc., and how we can use to categorize our content of the web page. Then last but not the least, we learned about the comment tag so that we can comment out a section of HTML code which we don't want to use for some time. And we also learned about the bold, italics, and underline tags. So that is what we learned so far. And I'll show you what you can do just by using these tags. So this is a small example of a web page that I have created by just using these tags. And I'll show you how it looks like. Then we'll discuss what we did here. So if I just run this file, I'll see here, this is my blog page, what I have created just by using the tags, what we have learned so far. And first, let's talk about what we have written in the code. So here we have declared the HTML, that is pretty simple. And then inside of the head tag, I have written the title of my blog. Then inside of the body tag, you can see I have used the main tag as the semantic element. And inside of this, I have given about section in the comment tag. And then I have used a h1 tag for my main heading of the page and a h3 tag as a subheading that says about me. After that, I have created a paragraph tag, and inside of the paragraph tag, I have given the placeholder text. And inside of that, I have used the bold, underline, italics, break line, and horizontal rule tags. So what they are doing is it will just bold this portion, it will underline this much portion, and it will italicize this much portion. But remember what we discussed, that if you break the line or if you hit enter to go to the next line manually in HTML, it's not going to accept because it will compress when you render the engine on the browser. So actually it's not going to print into separate lines. This will be here. So I just wanted to show you. That's why I have written in two different lines. And let's check it once again. So as you can see, this lorem ipsum dollar, there is no new line here, so it's just printing the further lines right in front of it. But as you can see, after this ends here, this is actually printing it into the next line. And why it is? Because I have used a break line tag. So break line tag manually breaks the line for you if you want to write in a new line inside of a paragraph. Or you can also use another paragraph tag if you want to write in a new line, but that will also create a new paragraph. So if you want to break the line inside of a paragraph, you can use a BR tag. Or if you want to use a new paragraph, you can use another paragraph. Then last but not the least, I have used the horizontal rule. So this is also going to break the line and print the remaining text in the next line. So this is the horizontal rule I'm talking about, and this is the remaining text. Okay. So this is what you can do by using what you have learned so far in the previous video, and I want you to create one simple web page of your own. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So as of now, we know how we can create a simple web page, and our web page have a heading, a title, and a paragraph as of now. But now I want to add some images to my web page, and how we can do it. We can do that just by using an img tag, and that is img source all, and let's just close it. Okay. So this is an img tag, and here you can see I am not using an closing img tag because img tag itself is a self-closing tag. Okay. Now these two things, alt and source, you might be wondering what are these. These are called attributes in HTML. So every tag basically in HTML have these attributes so that you can modify the content inside of those tags. Okay. So this image tag right here contains these attributes called source and alt right here. What they are going to do is the source is going to take the path of your image. So either you can go to image on any website on the internet and you can copy the image URL directly here, or you can save that image on your on any directory on your computer, and you can give the path to that image inside of this source attribute. Okay. So as you can see right here, I have a blog.jpg and website.jpg image. So I'm just going to use these, and as these are on my parent directory, I don't have to actually give the directory name. I can just use the file name as it is. So if I type blog.jpg, it will take it. And this alt text right here, what it's going to do is, if suppose our browser fails to load this image, this alt text will appear instead of the picture, and it will tell the user what we are going to write just now. Okay. So let's say my picture fails to load. So instead of the picture, the web page will show blog's picture as a text. Okay. So if I just save it and if I go and run this again, so you can see there's a picture on my web page, but this is really huge and it doesn't fit on my page, right? Now I want to modify it, and how I can do that? Again, I just said you can modify content by using attributes. So there are attributes inside of image tag called width and height, and they can take values in terms of percentage or pixels. Okay. So if I just type 50% here and 50% here, what it means is the width will be 50% of the original width of the image, and height will be 50% of the original height of the image. So if I save it and go back and reload my page, you can actually see the image is much better now and it fits on my web page. But I still want to modify it even more. Okay, so if I'll go back and I will type 30 and 30. If I save it again, I'll go back, I'll reload, and you can see the image is much better than the first site, right? So this is how you can play with the attributes. And by now, I guess we have an idea of how we can insert an image on our web page. So let's get into the other section and we'll learn about links. So let's say I have this web page, but I want to direct a link. I want to go to some certain link from this web page. Okay, how can I do that? I can just add as many links to different web page on the internet or inside my own directory. So I can switch between different HTML files and I can use them as pages by just using an anchor tag. So I'll show you how you can use links inside of your HTML web page. And these are external links, what we are going to discuss right now. There are internal links also, and we will discuss in within a short period of time. So let's just start with external links first. So let's just say something first. Okay, so this will be H2. Um, okay, so this is a href. Okay, and this is what a link tag looks like. Basically, it's called an anchor tag. Okay, if you hover over it and see anchor element. And this href right here is an hyperlink reference, and it is again an attribute that is going to take the value of the link where you want to direct your web page to. Okay, and you can see this anchor tag right here is an closing tag. So it has this closing tag. And why that is because we can put in some value here. So let's just say go to Google. Okay. And right now I don't have anything inside of it. So I can just keep coming. And this will be referred to as dead links. So when you are building a front end website, you actually don't want to put anything on the links section and anything which is not a part of your project. So what you'll do is you will create the link references and you will just put hash inside of the href attribute that will create a dead link. We'll see right now how it looks like. So if I save it and if I go to my file and if I refresh it, so you can see it's saying want to search some, go to Google. Okay. But when I click on it, you can see this URL changed. It says HTML and a hash in front of it. But when I click on it, nothing is happening. It's not going anywhere. So why it is happening? Because I don't have a reference link or a hyperlink as of now where I want to go. So now what I'll do is I'll come here and I'll type HTTPS because I'm using a hyperlink. It's easier to use and google.com and I want to use HTTPS. So if I save it and if I go back, reload, and if I click on go to Google now, see, it actually took me to google.com, the Google search engine. Cool, right? But there is still one problem. I don't want my web page to leave this home page and direct the web page, the Google search page on the same page. I want it to open a new tab and open the Google search engine in the new tab. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll come again here and I'll type target is equal to blank. And what this target is equals to underscore blank will do, I'll show you in a moment. If I save it, if I go back here, if I reload, and if I click on go to Google now, Google search engine now opens in a web page. So this target underscore blank is actually telling the browser that when I click on this link, this go to Google basically is the text which is appearing there on the web page. Okay. So when I click on this is actually telling the browser to open the link in a new page on a new tab. Okay. So this is how you can create a link to a external hyperlink address. Now, let's say I want to create a external link. I want to use a web page or a HTML file that I already have in my directory. So let's go on and create a anchor element again, href, and if I close it, now I don't have a really good HTML page as of now, but we had this hello world HTML file which displays hello world. So if I come back here and if I type here hello world.html and again I want to use the target is equals to underscore blank, right? And in between I just want to say hello world. So this is what the link will look like on my web page. Okay. So if I save it and if I go back on my browser, this is my web page. If I reload it, you can see this is go to Google and there is another one now, Hello World. If I click on Hello World, it actually opens up a new web page and it is displaying Hello World, and you can see this whole path right here. So this is basically loading my hello world.html file from my directory and it's displaying here. Okay, so this is how external links work. Now let's go a little step ahead and let's work with internal links. And what are internal links now? So right now we have these links or hyperlinks that access some content out of this whole document. Okay, but let's say I want to access some portion side of this document. What I mean by it, I'll show you right now. So let's say I create another p tag here first, uh, and I'll put in some lorem text inside of it, and I'll just create a footer. Okay, and inside of this footer I'll say h3, and it will be copyright 2021. Okay, so this is basically my footer. This is what I want to show you. Now I told you about the attributes, right? And there is one attribute called id. So if I type id here and if I say id is equals to footer, this means this footer tag is defined by this id called footer. Now remember, one id can only be used once in a web page. So it has to be unique if you are going to give a ID to this tag, let's say, or oh sorry, it should be inside the body. So if you say this paragraph has an ID, it should be something else than the footer. Okay. Now I have used this footer ID, but what to do now? What next? Let's go on to the top and just below the about me section, let me create a href again. So if I type href equals to this and okay, close it. Now I'll just say go to bottom. Okay, and inside of this href now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give in the value of id where I want it to go with a hash tag. Okay, so this hash is basically equals to the id and this footer is the id value. Okay, so this is telling this href anchor tag to go to this footer id wherever it is inside of my page. Okay, so let's just save it and let's see how it works. So if I reload it, you can actually see there is a go to bottom link on my web page. I want to show you, so I'll just zoom in a little bit so it can scroll and show you how it works. So if I click on go to bottom, did you see that? It's scrolled right to the bottom where this copyright 2021 is. So this is basically my footer as of now. If I go back, let's zoom in even more. Okay. Okay, so that was a little bit more. So right now, if I just click on go to bottom, it takes me right to the copyright. Now let's go back and create one more. Okay, so let's say inside of this footer element, okay, let's say above this footer right here, I have another link ahref equals to something and it takes me to top. So go to top. Okay, now what is my top? My top is basically h1, right? This is where, so id will be equal to something with what I want. So I'll call it top. Okay. Now I told you this ID will be represented as hashtag and then the ID value. So hashtag top. So if I save it and if I go back, I click on refresh, so that you can see right up on up of the footer, I have this link called go to top. And if I click on it, it takes me to the top of my web page. If I click on go to bottom, it takes me to the footer. Top, bottom. It's not very smooth scrolling, but it works, right? So if I show you in a little decent manner, so if I go to bottom, it scrolls. If I go to top, it scrolls me to here. So this is how internal links work on a web page. There is one more way I can show you how you can use links, and these are by using an image as a link. Okay, how you can do it is by creating an href is equals to, I'll given an image tag in between with some source and an alt. Okay, so okay, where am I losing it? Okay, yeah. So yeah, so this is basically what it is. So an anchor tag, and in between where I want to give the link for a text to click on, like here I gave go to Google, so it clicks on go to Google and takes you to the Google website. Here I said hello world, here I said go to top, here I said go to bottom, but right here I'm using an image tag instead of a plain text, right? And I'll show you how it works. I'll just take another image, this website. Okay, so website dot jpeg. I don't need an alt right now, but I do need height and width as of now. So height and width, I'll take 20%. I don't want it to be really big. Okay, and the href is actually going to take me to where should we go? Okay, let's go to Google again. Who cares? Okay, so take me to Google. Okay, and again, target is equals to blank. So if I save it, go back to my page, and if I reload it, you can see. So there is go to Google, hello world, and now if I hover over this image, this clickable image, if you can see the difference, when I hover over this image, it doesn't say anything. If I click on it also, it's not going to do anything. But if I come over here, as soon as I hover over it, you can see a difference. Okay, so it's a clickable image now. So if I click on it, actually see it took me to Google. So this is how you can use an anchor tag and an image tag to convert your image into a clickable link. So what we have learned so far in this section is how you can create a link, an external link and an internal link, how IDs work in internal links, and in the end we saw how we can use image tag and anchor tag to make image as an clickable links. So hope you understood this. Let's move on and I'll see you in the next section. So now let's talk about another important thing in HTML, and that is called lists. So in HTML, we have different types of lists, and the most important ones are ordered lists and unordered lists. There is one more called descriptive lists, We will also look into that, but let's first talk about unordered and ordered lists. So, what are unordered lists? So, you might have seen different types of lists in daily work or somewhere, and you might have noticed that there are some lists which has numbering on it, but there are some lists that is just bullet points, like bullet, bullet, and bullet, like this, right? So these type of lists or elements are called unordered lists in HTML. So let's just create one and see how it looks like. So first I'll just create a h3 element and I'll say unordered list. It's not necessary, but I'm just doing it so that we know. To create an unordered list, whereas you need to type ul. So this is unordered list. Now, when you are inside of this, how many number of items you want to add inside of the unordered list or list, you do that by li. So li is a list item. So if I can just copy this and if I come down here, paste again, paste again, paste again, and paste again. So now I have what? 5 elements in the unordered list. And if I just save it and if I just want to check it, here you can see. So unordered list was my heading and you can see there are 5 bullet points right here. So I can go back and give some data to it, right? Okay, so I can say um, milk, coffee, tea, juice, water. Okay, so these are different types of liquid. That's all. So if I save it again and if I go back and if I reload, you can see. So this is actually showing me an ordered list: milk, coffee, tea, juice, water. And this is how unordered lists work. Now, there is one more cool thing I want to show you, that suppose you want to, let's say you wanted to create a nested list for this coffee element, right? So let's say you have this coffee element. So this list element was here. And for this coffee element, you wanted to create another list. So I'll say unordered list. And this unordered list will have again list items and again list items. And that will be, let's say, black coffee and let's say cold coffee. Okay. Right. And if I save it, when I go back and I click reload, you can see that for milk, tea, juice, water, it's just a plain unordered list. But for coffee, there is another nested unordered list which I use, and it's showing black coffee and cold coffee. So this is another cool thing you can do with lists. Now this was about unordered list. Let's go and talk about ordered list now. Okay, so let's just jump and I'll again create a h3 element and now I'll type ordered lists. Okay, now again the same procedure, but this time instead of ul we want to type ol for an ordered list. Okay, and again for an ordered list I'll have again list items, and if I copy it and if I paste it here, here, here. Okay, so these are my 4 items, and if I save it and if I go back, if I reload, you can see I have an ordered list, and by default the ordered list orders it in numbers. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is by default. So like unordered list by default is a bullet list. The ordered list by default is in 1, 2, 3, 4. But let's say I want to give it another type. So I can come over here, sorry, in the ordered list tag, and I told you there are attributes, right? So even this list also have attributes. So I can give type is equals to, and as soon as I type equals to, you can see there are so many options I have right now. So one is the simple 1, 2, 3, 4 numbering. Then I have a uppercase alphabet. So it will order them in A, B, C, D in uppercase. Then I have a lowercase alphabets. Then I have Roman numbers in uppercase and Roman numbers in lowercase. So if I let's go with Roman numbers lowercase. So if I save it, if I go back, click refresh, now you can see there are Roman numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and they are in lowercase. So this is how you can change the type. Now let's move ahead and give something to it. So this is step 1. Let's say this is step 2. Let's say this is step 3, and so on. This will be step 4, right? If I save it, if I go back and if I click reload, this is how it's going to show. So 1 will be step 1, 2 will be step 2, 3 will be step 3, 4 will be step 4. So what is the difference between unordered list and ordered list? In this purpose, there are some things which we want to display in forms of list, but we don't want or we don't have to actually put them in some order. So we can use unordered list in those kind of situations. So right, like I have given here, milk, coffee, tea, juice, water. There is no such order in them. I can write however as I want. But let's say you are describing an algorithm, for instance, or a recipe. Okay, so you're writing a recipe. What you want is to be shown in an order, right? So first will be step 1, second will be step 2, third will be step 3, like that. So there you use an ordered list. Again, in the ordered list also, you can create a nested list. So right here, if I type again ordered list, and okay, let's say I'll show you another cool stuff. I can use an unordered list inside of a ordered list. So if I type ul and let's say I have list items, sorry, let's say I have list items, one more, let's just add 2 as of now. So here I have a 1.1 and here I have a 1.2. So if I save it, if I go back and reload it, here you can see the step 1 actually has two more elements to the list and they are unordered. So the parent list was an ordered list, but the child list for the first step is an unordered. So this is how you can play with the lists and how you can work with lists. There is one more type of list and I'll show you that one also. That is called descriptive lists, right? So if I come over here and let me first type it nh3. That says descriptive list. Okay. Now I want to declare an descriptive list. So I'll just say DL and that stands for descriptive list. Now inside of it, as of now, in the ordered and unordered list, we were using li for both of them. But now we are going to use something called a dt and a dd with it. Okay. These two will be together for one single item. So let's say if I say coffee, so the dd will be something like hot drink. Okay. And if I come down here, if I create another dt, and dd for it. And if I say cold drinks, and for the description, it's pretty much refreshing cold beverage. Okay, so if I save it and if I go back to my browser, if I click refresh, you can actually see a difference. Now, it seems to be a nested kind of list, but what it is doing is it's basically describing this element right here and it's showing what it is about. So basically descriptive lists are not used that much. If you want to describe something, you mostly use unordered list, a nested unordered list for that. But let's say if you have to, this is the main use of descriptive lists. So this is how you can use descriptive lists. So far we have learned about unordered list, ordered list, and descriptive lists. So I guess you have a fair idea of how to work with lists in HTML. I want you to play around with lists and make some more nested lists inside of it. Check whether you can nest a descriptive list with an ordered list or an unordered list, or check whether you can nest an ordered list with a descriptive list. I want you to play around until it breaks, and I'll see you in the next section. So, till now, you have learned pretty much everything you should know if you are on the beginners level HTML. So for the HTML basics part, everything is covered as of now, but there are some things which I would like to talk to you about. So I'll start with the block and inline elements. So I'll explain you with an example. What are they? If I come right over here and let's say if I type a div and in the next line if I type a span, sorry, okay. Now if I type anything inside of it, block in, and if I say, let's say, uh, container here, and if I say container here, now they both seem to be little bit similar to you, don't they? Right? Now, if I go to my browser, if I click refresh, if I come here, do you see any difference? I have this block in this line, but the container which was here in front of the block is now in the next line, which is then followed by inline container. So that means the span tag. So if I just click over here and click inspect here, if I am here, so you can see the div is the block, and then this container is in the new line, and then there is span, but this container is in the same line as the span element. So what that means is a div is a block container. So whatever you give this inside of this will stay in this line, and once you close a div, it will occupy the whole space remaining on that block. So this div element right here, you can see this is capturing the whole width, this whole area till here, even though it's not using it. And I have typed container just in front of it without leaving any space or anything. Still, it's showing it in a new line. Whereas a span is an inline container. So it doesn't matter whether you give it 1,000 spaces or 1,00,000 spaces before or after it, it's going to make the elements in one line. That means inline. So this is a span container. Okay. So as you can see, this container from the block also got shifted in a new line, but as the next tag was span. So what it does is it compresses it to the least space possible. So it goes back and it sees that there is a space right after the container, this container. So it prints the value just after it. And when it finishes it, it doesn't take the remaining space. So whatever is after it gets printed right after the span. So this is the difference between a div container and a span container. One div is a block container and span is an inline container. It will be very useful for you in future because when you are writing an actual HTML document after an advanced level or up to an advanced level, you will be using a lot, like hundreds of div container blocks or hundreds of span container blocks, because that is very useful when you are going to introduce CSS and JavaScript to your HTML. Then you have to use a div block and a span block. As you can see, right here, if you remember when we were using links, this go to Google, hello world, and this image were right in front of each other in a single line because I didn't mention any break line tag, any div block or a span block for them. Okay, so they were in line. But later I went on and I changed these and I kept each link, like the anchor block, inside of a single div block container. Okay, so now what they are doing is this aref, though there is space after this go to Google, this is a whole lot of space for hello world to print here, but still as if it's inside this div block, it's going to take a new line and then it's going to print the next one. So that is the hello world. Then again, once this hello world finishes, it's going to break the line, though I am just printing this break line again to for an extra space. But still, if the BR is not there, still it's going to show this image in a new line. So this is how div and block works. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you guys about is, okay, let's just remove it first. Yeah. The next thing I would like to talk to you about is nesting. So when you are writing HTML, nesting is really very important. And why that is because it, first of all, it looks good. Formatted code is the best code. This is how things work. So if your code is not formatted, it's just plain text in a single line, it's just all messy, it's going to be rendered. The browser will not say that I'm not going to accept your code or something. It will still accept if you have everything in a single line. But if you have a nested code, a formatted code, it will be easier for first of all you to read and second for the other person to read. So when you share your web page, when you put it live, when someone is going to come and inspect your page, when someone is reading what you have typed in for this page, it will be easier for them to understand what's going on behind each and every element. So let's say I'll create another element called main. So this is again a semantic element. And inside of this main, I'll create an article. Okay. And inside of this article, I'll create a paragraph. Inside of this paragraph, again, I'll create a paragraph. Okay. Now, inside of this paragraph, I want an image. Yeah, image tag. And then again, I want a href. Sorry. Yeah, a href. And inside of this ahref, again, I want an h3 element. So, boom, something like this. Okay. So now you can see this main is the parent here. The parent of this whole body is the body tag basically. Not even body tag. Even the body tag should be nested inside the head HTML tag. I'll fix it. But as of now, if I see just this block, and if I just one more thing, if I can do here, if I can keep put this whole thing inside of a div block, div here. Okay. So if I just come here and hit tab and come over here, and if I paste it, so now this div block right here, if I give it ID, let's say nested. Okay, so this div right here is the parent of all of these tags. Okay, so this main is the child of div, then this article is the grandchild of div, then this p tag right here is the great grandchild of div, and so on. So till this h3, everything is interconnected, so everything is nested. Now, if you ask me if it's going to change the layout or the way your web page look, no, it's not. Even if all these tags were in the same line, still it will show the same thing on your web page. But it's just a good practice. Like right now, if I don't know whether you are able to see it or not, but you can see this colorful gap between the code, right? And this is an extension in VS Code that I am using, and that helps me to keep a track on my tags. So right now, this is just how much? 90 lines of code. But when you are working on an actual project, your code won't be 90 lines. It will be hundreds, thousands of lines of code. And when you are working on that much big code, you don't have time to sit and search through each and every line that where your tag was. So if I have to come over here and if I have to, let's say, okay, let's do this. Main article P. Okay. And last is div. Okay. So now this div block right here, this whole line, this whole div block is still the same like how it was when it was nested. It's still going to show me everything in the same way. But let's say some bug was there, let in the anchor tag here or the heading there or anywhere, and I have to come back and I have to check to each and every line of code, and now I have to find where my tag was, and now it's not nested, it's in a single line and it's not formatted. So it will take me a lot of time, and it is not a good practice to do it in this way. That's why we use this nesting. Okay, right here. Okay, so this is how nesting works in HTML. I hope you understood this one. And the last and the one of the most important things in HTML, which I would like to talk to you about, is blanks, white spaces does not matter in HTML. So let's say, okay, let's go up. Okay, I'll come here. And I am here. So I've already discussed you about breaking the line. So if you break the line manually, or if you hit enter, it's not going to do that. It will automatically print it within a single line, because every element in HTML is an inline character, basically. We'll compress it to the least space. But some people will argue that what if we add spaces. Let's say the space, 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 space. So basically, if I check, I have 15 spaces in between, and here also I have 9 spaces in between. So if I save it and if I refresh it, whoa, there is no space in here. Why so? It's because white spaces does not matter when you are writing HTML. If you give 1,000 of white spaces also, it's not going to render it. It will compress it to the least space possible and it will show you the result. Now, if I come here and if I check about my paragraph tag here, and if I see, you can see there is no space here, okay? And this is because my browser is actually compressing all those white spaces to the least space possible. So it doesn't matter how many spaces you give inside of an HTML tag, it's not going to render it because white spaces doesn't matter. So these were the things which I wanted to talk to you about when writing a good and formatable HTML code. So guys, that's it for this video. Today we learned about image and anchor tag and how to work with external and internal links. We then saw different types of lists and how to use them. And then we finally discussed about some format practice in HTML. So with this video, the HTML course of beginners, it comes to an end. Now you will be having a fair idea of how to work with HTML, and I'm sure you guys will be excited to make some cool web page of your own. So go ahead, play around with HTML, and I'll see you in the next course for intermediate HTML. Finally, I hope you guys understood the concepts, and if you did, please leave a like on this video and share it with your friends. Also, if you have any doubt or need clarification regarding any topic discussed in the video, please drop it in the comment box and I'll help you out with it as soon as possible. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hope this was helpful to you. We'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye and take care.